With the warmer weather we've been having, some of the seedlings you started may have grown large enough to transplant. So joining us now is Master Gardener Ed Sourdiffe. He has tips on how to divide our seedlings. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Seth.
We did something similar last year, but I'm always blown away by how much better your plants do than mine.
Well, it's because I use those fluorescent lights, the cheap shop lights with a cool white, warm white bulb, and that's really the secret. And it's 12 hours a day.
So that's the fruits of your labor. So you got to this by putting them under those fluorescent bulbs. And
yep.
How long have these been going for, roughly?
These have been going for about 5 weeks. I actually labeled it.
423.
Well,
so a little, maybe 3 weeks or so.
Yeah. So that's been going for that long, and then the basil here too. You can see the basil already smells like basil when you rub your hands across it.
He was telling me this earlier. Check this out. All you need to do is just rub your hands across it, give it a whiff, and now my hand smells like basil.
Yeah, and that's actually good for the seedlings because when they're indoors and you're growing them like that, we've talked about that before, you stimulate the wind blowing across them, and you actually will stimulate the stems, and they grow a little bit quicker.
So it helps them to grow stronger and a little bit quicker.
Yeah. So now at this point, you want to start dividing them up because these guys are really, really crowded, and because they're so crowded, they're going to start reducing their growth rate. So what we can do is we can just actually, I've got these old sports
plastic
from a store.
utensils,
Yeah.
all right.
And if you want to just pull up the side, just dig out under it like a group right here.
So you take one stem and dig out from under.
Well, you can dig up a whole group with like.
So in this grouping, for example, I see 3 stems here. Is that accurate?
Sure.
It's not an exact science though, it seems like.
And leave as much soil as you can with the little plant. There you go.
How's that?
Good. Now all we're going to do is you can actually place it down. It'll be easier for you to work. Now all you got to do is pull it apart and just gently pull it apart.
The bottom part or the top?
We could just go like that.
Oh, because you only want one stem per area.
So now you have 2, and I gently kind of did it mostly by the leaves. You don't want to move it by the stems because especially, well, this is a thicker stem, it'll be all right, but a thinner stem, you'll crush the stem and then the plant will die. But the leaves, if you crush a leaf, there's more leaves.
Okay, there's lots of them to come, hopefully.
Yeah, so now if you want to make 4 holes here.
I guess, once again, just with the back of a utensil?
Yeah, whatever works for you, or you can use the fatter end. And then just plop the root ball in there.
Oh, from the leaves?
Sure, or you can gently use the roots. They're pretty resilient, the plants. And then just tuck it in with some extra soil so it stands up. You can bring more soil in. And you want to plant it about at the same depth that it was before.
As a general rule, how are you supposed to divide these into here? Is there a size ratio that you're looking for, or does it vary from plant to plant?
Well, I'm going to leave these in for a while. Now, I'm not going to plant anything out until May 30th, so I want to space them, with enough space that they'll be able to grow and not compete. So I'm usually doing like 4 across, and then in the next row, because there's 4 here, I'll do 1, 2, and that'll actually stagger, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 again, and then 2. So there's always a little bit room in between.
I understand. So you don't want to oversaturate this because then you'll have the same problems you had here.
Yeah, you want to give them the room to grow. And before we actually transplanted, you wanted to actually water them in a few hours before to make sure they're not stressed, they have plenty of water. And then once you get these in, then you'll water these in good, and then leave them in a shady environment. You can just leave them out of that light for just a little bit of time, and then put them back in under the lights, and then they'll grow on, and they'll be perfect size. Now, people say these are much smaller than the plants we see at the stores, like the big box stores and things. They're small now, but they're going to totally catch up and surpass those ones at the stores. It's just way too cold to put them out. Our nights are 50 degrees, but if you looked at the forecast, they're going for a 38-degree night. That'll be way too cold. Tomatoes like these and peppers absolutely cannot go outside unless the nighttime temperatures are at least 50 degrees.
I think a lot of people get lulled into thinking they want to put them out because we've had warm days,
Yeah.
but you're right, the nights are still cold because it's still springtime. Yeah. Now take us through these. These are similar planters, but they're not really the same as this.
Yeah, these are actually peat pots, they call these. And these are for plants that do not like their roots to be disturbed. Like that, we really kind of disturbed the roots. You can see we had to dig them out.
Oh, yeah, I felt bad about it.
Yeah, but they're doing fine. So what you do is you use these things, and you actually put them into a flat like this. And see, that will just fill up the whole flat, basically. And then all you have to do is add a little bit of soil, the same kind of potting soil. You never want to use your garden soil, because that's will become too compact. And
so at first you always want to go for potting soil.
Yes, and that's good for all your house plants. And potting soils really are for plants in containers. And so then we planted that. Now, what you can plant in here, now they have bigger peat pots also, but you can actually plant pumpkins in here. Now pumpkins You don't want to plant early, so I would actually kind of probably wait a week or so. Pumpkins actually 2 to 3 weeks at the max if you're going to plant them indoors. And this actually helps if you have problems with squirrels or chipmunks digging them up and eating the seeds. Once you get the plant started, you put out in the garden, the squirrel will leave it alone, I found. So all you have to do here, this is a pumpkin called a Big Max. You just pull it out. And you actually, these are smaller peat pots. They have larger ones for pumpkins. Now, you can put just one in each.
Ed, you've already started growing for this year, but it's not too late for everyone out there to start too if they haven't yet and they want to do what you're doing.
No, marigolds only take 4 to 5 weeks to get them out, and they'll be flowering in 5. These, there's still plenty of time for basil. Pumpkin, like I said, you don't want to do it too early. The plant will be too big and it won't be healthy and happy. So this is the perfect time to start. Just look at the back of the seed packets. It usually does tell you when.
So it's something that everyone can do. It's relatively easy, and you can be eating great herbs and vegetables all summer long. Ed, thanks so much for stopping by today.
You're welcome.
You've inspired me. I'm going to try again, even though last year didn't work out so well.